Okay guys, Kevin Dye painting. It's up here in Arnold. We did a bid for David next door, so he had mentioned you guys would like a bid, so I figure I'll go ahead and do that. I did already walk the property. Basically what we're looking at here, I'm not much of a, I kind of like to get in and just do work and the best of my ability, using the best products we can, and get out. I'm not much of a backbiter. I don't really like to show people what others did wrong. I'd rather just kind of do it right and move on. But this house is going to be a little tougher because the work that was done on it was not done properly. So there's going to be a little bit of fixing happening here. This main support probably should have been sanded. I'm not sure if we'll be able to salvage it. I mean, we'll always be able to stain it, but to get rid of that luck of the tiger striping, of all the cedar and stuff and mold, it's going to be tough. So I'll just kind of show you what I would do on the house, and we can pretty much go from there. But I mean, there's going to be a lot of bleaching and sanding on this piece right here. I'm not sure if we will ever be able to get rid of underneath that. What oftentimes I do when it's due to just not being done correctly or not being maintenance correctly, what I often tend to do is I paint this structure. What I go is I prime with an oil-based primer, and then I paint it so that it's a solid paint under here, and that gets rid of a lot of those lines and stuff that we would not be able to get rid of. And when we're using a translucent stain, may it be oil or water, basically you're always going to see that. So if it doesn't bother you and you just like the stain, that's okay too. So that would be one of the questions, how you'd want to how'd you want to go about that. And you know, most of this stuff up under here is really not bad. So this, I would suggest we just stain normal and we cut it off right here at the building's edge, and we stain all this just normal down the line because it's really not that bad. Under here doesn't look like bad. It just doesn't look as if it was stained properly. We really put a lot of stain on the building. We want the appearance of having it dipped. But this is just going to be what it is. So pressure wash, obviously, very important. Bleach any of these areas out so that the dark area on the bottom and the top areas match. Is also very important. It did not appear that that was done. We bleached that out, and then basically the same thing. Same as these pillars. A lot of spot mold on the building. This would probably be 2 different days of washing so that we could get rid of it to the best of our ability. Unfortunately, like I said, it's just the stain is what it is, but this is a pretty big, pretty nice size house. We'll try to get rid of that mark and that mark. A lot of the stuff on the bottom just needs a good bleaching and dry time. We use the best oil-based stains money can buy. I prefer Armstrong, but I also use Super Deck. Armstrong lasts a little longer and is a little stronger. It's a little more expensive to application-wise because it's a little more just detailed on putting it on the building compared to Super Deck. But in the end, it's probably, it adds up to, on a house like this, maybe $300-400 extra on the entire scope of the job, which often is, this is a big house, so this would be a big job. Obviously up there, that would have to be bleached out really good as well. The whole idea is that we clean the property as best we can. I mean, as absolute best we can, and then we go ahead and we stain everything. But this is a big one. This is definitely a big house, and there's a lot of square footage that needs to be stained. Pressure wash. We do not stain the concrete. We do not stain anything that does not get stained. If we get stain on any metalwork, we wipe it off. We do not leave it. We do not stain things and leave big drips. I do not like to see runs or drips on our houses. Doing it a long time. At least looks like that little woodpecker hole was done correctly. That looks really good. We do the same exact deal. We punch a hole and put a plug. So pretty basic so far. A lot of stain. Deck, it's going to get a tad more interesting because it's in a little worse shape. But again, strip the house of all lights, pull all chimes, pull everything down. I'm just going to go ahead and go over this deck, pull everything down. And then we get in and we clean the living heck out of this deck because it needs it. It needs it bad. And then same thing with the actual deck boards. Up here, again, just you need a really heavy coat of stain to really push that water away from the wood. And if it's not stained correctly, you kind of end up with a little bit of that, which is all the black area that runs on the first 3 lap boards. You know, bleach, a lot of bleach, pressure washing with a small pressure washer. We do not pressure wash with anything that would etch the wood. We do not want to chew the wood. We want it to appear that it is natural, which is very important. Deck would need to be clean, like I said. It's going to be 2 coats of stain out here, just 1 in here because it's covered. This door looks pretty darn good. I'd probably just put a quick coat of spar varnish on it, just for longevity aspect. But everything else, I mean, it's looking pretty good. It's covered in here, so it looked pretty nice. It's a beautiful house, absolutely gorgeous house. Here as well, I'd probably just put 1 coat of spar on it, just for the longevity aspect. Out here, I think a big thing too, I try not to give too much of my 2 cents on this stuff. I just deal with my trade. But I do think you're going to save the life of your deck drastically if you had this tree trimmed. I mean, just trimmed all the limbs up. I'm not saying you have to bring it down or anything, but I mean, just trim it so that it's not dripping, because that's what all this is from that. And you will, you know, at this rate, you can stain it. We'd have to stain it every year, but you might run into some trouble with this, because it's going to end up being a situation once, especially if we start getting a winter again, and hopefully we do. These doors, obviously, sand. Yeah, these are a little worse shape. Sand and spar varnish. All the other areas would be stained. Stained. Very dry. Very dry. It's as if it hasn't been done in 10 years. Like I said, all lights are removed from the building. We do all the work. We mask everything. We get no stain on the windows, no anywhere. And then we go ahead and we put the lights back up. Got a little bit of a situation up there. We might have to sand to get rid of those markings. Sometimes the guano from the bats bleach the wood, kind of like do some damage to the wood, but we should be able to clean it up. It definitely needs some work, and that's why also the last thing is we make sure all the deck boards that we do, we make sure the screws are tight, we make sure there's no loose ones, we put new screws in if needed, and then we put a light sand on the top rail here, so that when you lean on it, it has a really nice feel, and then we do those by hand with a brush. So yeah, with that said, you know, this is kind of the range we're in. You know, how this should be restained and kind of put back together, but I wanted to make sure to get a video, let you see what I see, and let you kind of understand why our pricing is the way it is. And I would suggest, you know, it's not the cheapest thing to do, but at least, you know, for us, we have a 2-year unlimited warranty. And then on top of that, let me make sure we're locked back up here again. There we go. We have a 2-year warranty, and again, we take great pride in what we do. But this one is a really nice house. This should have been possibly taken care of a little better than it was by the last painter, last guy who did the stain work. Unfortunately, it just seemed like it was kind of, you got a very light coat, which is dangerous up here, because if we ever get a winter, it's going to be a problem. Yeah, see, under here is perfect. It looks really nice. We'll stain it and move on, but under here, a lot of this is from that tree, and it just wasn't stained good enough to hide that from that tree, but all that's from that tree. So, and it's already a leaner, I can tell. Yeah. So, that is that. A lot of bleach, a lot of sanding. We can do the best we can on this out here, but I mean, there's only so much we can do. So, we can just kind of bleach and try to sand it. This beam, you know, cost efficiency wise, it might even behoove us to maybe take whatever trim color and trim out this beam so that when you come in, it's just like a painted situation, because we could definitely try, but it's gonna be time consuming. And we like time consuming, but I just know homeowners' wallets don't always like time consuming. So there's some options. There's some things out there that we can discuss. So I just want to kind of get a look and let you kind of see, and we'll pretty much go from there. But either way, I hope this bid finds you guys well, and thank you very much for the time and the chance to look at it. It's a beautiful home. I know we could make it look brand new. Thank you. Goodbye.